Hi, I'm Danielle, a Gelato team member based in the US. Thank you for tuning in today. We are in the midst of peak season. That time of year e-commerce sellers are often the busiest in advance of the holidays and stand to gain the bulk of the year's revenue. We've invited Alex Østergaard, a Gelato customer and the founder of Nbourhood, a global e-commerce store that brings your favorite places home with stylish and trendy wall art. Hi, Alex. Thank you for joining us today.
Hey, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, thank you. So just to get us started, can you tell us a little bit about your founding story and your successful route to growth? Maybe with that, what would be your advice to other creators and merchants?
Yeah, so my story is actually a bit different from most others, I think. I actually started Neighborhood during COVID. I was working as a management consultant in American firm, and quite early in COVID, we got notice that we won't go back to the office for a year. So I was like, okay, now I have a lot of time to do other things as well. And I have been living in the US for half a year before that, and over there I discovered Etsy. And since I was COVID, I was missing traveling. So I was looking for prints of places around the world, like Los Angeles and New York. And I went to Etsy. And then I realized, okay, I can maybe make my own prints. So I did that in the start of COVID. And I posted them on Etsy. And little by little, they sold. And so, yeah, that's the story about how Neighborhood started. The start was a bit slow, but after half a year, we were actually a real company. So yeah, I think if in that terms, my advice would maybe be, especially when you're working with companies like Gelato, where you don't have to facilitate your inventory yourself, or you don't have to ship the orders yourself, you actually have a lot of time to do other things as well. And so maybe my advice would be to start slowly and test if things are working. So you can start even though you have another job. I actually had a job for a year, 1.5 years when I had Neighborhood in the beginning. Even though Neighborhood was quite profitable quite early, I still had the job just then I could spend all the money on Neighborhood I was earning and so on. So I think that's my best advice. Actually, start slow. You don't have to go all in the start. You can see if it's working or not, and then after some time, if it's working, you can go into it.
So kind of two follow-up questions there out of curiosity. So number one, have you always had that entrepreneurial bug? And then number two, how far into your journey before you found Gelato?
Yeah, so first, I mean, I have been since I was like 14 buying stuff in China and selling it on the Danish website similar to eBay. And back then, I mean, it was in 2008, 2009, nothing was really digital. So you had to go to an agent and hand over the money, and he will hand over the money to China. And then after a month, I was selling HDMI cables and all kind of stuff. And then the products would come after a month, but you didn't have more or less any communication with anyone. It was not like today where you can just use your credit card to buy stuff. So I started quite early, and then I had people coming home to my parents' home, and I was selling the HDMI cables and so on. But then I went to business school, and I was suddenly a management consulting, and then you are in this, what's called the race, where you just, you go to work and so on. You don't have time for this anymore. So it was quite lucky, actually, that COVID came. I suddenly had time to do entrepreneurship again.
So it was in your DNA from an early
Well,
age.
I mean, it was, but then, I mean, going to business school and you work for a bit management consulting firm and so on, you suddenly lose a bit of the entrepreneurial mindset. So yeah, I think for me personally, COVID changed my life, actually, also in a good way.
Wow. There's a lot I could dig into there. I know we're supposed to focus on peak though. I guess with that being said, what was your first peak season like? And, what did you learn from that in general?
Yeah, but I think it was back in 2020. I mean, things were a bit different back then, especially with Facebook ads. But I mean, in terms of the peak season, I mean, I'm also co-owner of other brands where we have our own inventory. And I think one thing is you really have to trust your supplier, especially Gelato, when you have peak seasons. Because if if there's no inventory, there's nothing to sell. So when you work with a company like Gelato, luckily there's always inventory. So I think you also need to be prepared in order to tell, maybe on your website, tell customers that you need to order before this deadline in order to get your packages and so on. I think that's quite important to communicate that. Otherwise, you can end up having angry customers.
Yeah. So is that part of the recipe? Communicate early and often. You kind of make that initial disclaimer. What other communication points come in handy during peak season?
I mean, there are different ways to do it. I mean, depending on what kind of brand you have, what kind of products you are selling. So we are selling wall arts, especially on Nbourhood, that we're selling wall arts. So I think, especially with Black Friday and so on, I mean, discounts, you have to decide whether you want to, what kind of products you have, and the customer value, average order, no, what is called customer lifetime value. In terms of if you want to offer discounts or what do you want to do for Black Friday and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it depends a lot on what products you are selling. For us, we are selling prints. And the issue with prints is that you can maybe sell them one or twice to the same customers. But after that, I mean, it's difficult to keep on selling prints to the same customers. If you're selling T-shirts, you can maybe do it more often, sell the T-shirt to a customer. So in terms of, the old discount thing with Black Friday and Christmas and so on, you really have to consider whether you want to give a discount, what kind of product you are selling. If you're selling a T-shirt, you can maybe not have too much profit for the first order and then the customer comes back. But if you sell a print with more or less no profit and the customer doesn't come back, you more or less just give it for free. So
Yeah.
you have to, I think especially you have to really look into what kind of products you are selling and then decide the strategy from that.
And so, earlier you were talking about how in the good old days you were able to really leverage your Facebook ads.
Yeah.
And you also just spoke toward being strategic about promotions and discounts during peak, especially. What other tools do you use to ensure you have a successful peak season?
Yes, I mean, there are many ways to do it. I mean, most companies are already starting now with especially Facebook ads. You have to be out a little bit early. I mean, some companies are also doing the discount now instead of Black Friday because then it's cheaper to get the customers into the website with the traffic and so on. So I think as a company, you have to decide what kind of strategy you want to use. For us at Nbourhood, we want to be a little bit more of a premium brand, a little bit more like Apple and those kind of companies where we don't offer too much discounts. I mean, we don't really offer discount throughout the year. And at Black Friday, we maybe offer a little bit of discount, but not too much. Because I think it also depends if you're selling like a generic product or you're selling something special. I mean, if you're selling a products that other companies are selling as well, you probably have to offer a discount. Otherwise, the customers would just go to the other companies. But if you are selling unique products like we're a little bit doing in Nbourhood, I don't think you necessarily have to do the discount part. But there are many things you can do. You can already start now to get some emails into your email mailing list, so you have the mails before the Black Friday and so on. Because the issue, especially with digital marketing, is that it's only going to be more expensive from now until Christmas is over. So you can start already now to get some of the customers in the flow, and then you can reactivate them later on when they're ready to make the orders.
Okay, so start early, leverage that email list, communicate often. All right, what about any kind of major snafus during peak that you've learned from? Any kind of big peak problems that you've had in the past that you've learned from and now have a plan around?
I mean, I think the main issues actually we have been facing, and that's also, I mean, when you're working with when a supplier shipping your product has been, the whole thing about making sure that the customers receive the products in time, and not receive them damaged and so on. And I think that's also a thing Gelato has learned a lot from previous years. I mean, there was a year when Gelato was using a carrier that was really, really bad. They don't have that anymore, and quality-wise, it's also much better now than it has been previously. So I think that's has been the main issues for us. So I think at the end of the day, at least for us as a company, we want to have happy customers. And I mean, you can generate as much revenue as you want, but if most of the customers are not happy after they receive the products, I mean, then you probably made some quick revenue, but I mean, you have a business the whole year. So for us, I mean, it's always the most important to have happy customers.
That's a great takeaway, and something for us all to just keep in mind. I think sometimes we get so granular and want to understand a really specific formula, maybe a digital marketing technique, but
Yeah,
at the end of the day, think about what's going to make your customers happy,
yeah,
and that'll get you pretty far.
yeah.
You spoke to this a bit, but with a lot of your customers in the U.S. And thinking through production, distribution, how has local production and distribution helped propel your business?
I mean, especially working with Gelato, as I said, when for us, when we are selling prints, we can only sell the same print or prints to the same customers maybe once or twice, or maybe 3 times sometimes. So for us, having the opportunity to sell in the whole world it makes our business possible, because if we should only sell in Denmark, I mean, there would only be a certain amount of people we could sell to, and then we could maybe do it once or twice. But now when we have a customer base throughout the whole world, we still have so many customers that we can sell to. So I think for us, that gives the opportunity to actually have our business. So we are selling more or less worldwide. Also to eliminate the issue of maybe not having the same customers coming back too many times, we have tried to also send phone cases and hoodies and so on, but it's really difficult to make this transition when you actually are known for selling prints to also sell other products. We're still trying to do it, and also especially after the customers has made the purchase with some selling some other products with the email flows and so on. But yeah, it's difficult.
And was your plan from day one a global business, or has this been something that's kind of your vision has grown as your business has grown? I know these are a lot of questions all
Yeah.
at once, but I think the other thing to add on to that would kind of be local production and distribution has helped with global growth. But what are your other global growth takeaways?
Yeah, so as I said, I mean, to be honest, I mean, Neighborhood was started a bit randomly. I mean, I was sent home from COVID and all this kind of stuff. And I think as a start, I just Googled how to print posters, I think. And then as actually the first year we were working with Printful, yeah. And I mean, one of the reasons that we actually went to Gelato was the opportunity to sell in more countries and also selling more local, because Printful was sometimes Printful was shipping prints from Europe to US, which didn't make sense. So that was actually one of the reasons why we went to Gelato, was the opportunity to print locally throughout the whole world.
Is the sustainability aspect important to you and your customers?
Yeah, I think, I mean, for more or less all people, sustainability is important in some kind of way. But I don't think, especially for customers, for this kind of product, I'm not sure if customers will pay double the price for sustainability. But now when the products are sustainable, I think it's only good. Yeah. So
It's a
I mean,
win-win.
it is important, and also important for our company and so on. So yeah, we are happy that we have local production.
We had a webinar we recently recorded with Kerry Eigler. He's an e-commerce entrepreneur, and he spoke with us about different AI tools he uses to create e-commerce products or design artwork even. Are you leveraging any AI tools this peak season?
In that, yes and no. I mean, we're using some text tools like ChatGPT, and we're using a little bit of AI. But I still think, I mean, it depends. I think what kind of product you want to make. I mean, I think for us, we still need some human touch to make the products. Especially also because we have some certain guidelines and designs and so on we want to fit within. So in terms of design, we haven't really been using it yet. But for text, we're using it. Most tools that we're using, also like Shopify and Klaviyo and so on. Also now I have some integrated AI tools you can use. But design-wise, we're not there yet. I know Photoshop has also some AI tools you could use now. But other from that, we are mostly using text.
What do you use for design, Alex? I've looked at your site and you have stunning designs.
Yeah, so we are mostly using Adobe programs. So that's like Photoshop and Lightroom, InDesign, so, Illustrator. So these kind of so some of the prints we're actually drawing ourselves as well. So we're using an iPad with a pen for that. So yeah.
Wow. All right. So if you were to summarize, and I know we've kind of done this a little bit throughout, but what would be your top 3 tips for e-commerce sellers during the peak season?
I think the whole thing is now that you should probably also have been started now. At least you need to start now, and then you need to look into your own business. I mean, you probably know the business the best yourself. So look into your own business and what kind of products are you selling. And from that, make your own strategy. I mean, you can always listen to a lot of people, but at the end of the day, you know your business yourself, and you know your products the best yourself. And not all products fit the same strategy. So you need to look into what kind of products you are selling. And from that, make your own strategy. And then you should probably already start now. You can, especially also if you want to do digital marketing, I mean, you need to be in the race now with your Facebook ads, should probably also already be on now. So they have past the learning phase when they should actually be used and so on. So I think that's my overall best advice. I mean, look into your own product, do your own research, and then make your strategies from. You can always listen to people, and it's good to take advice from people. But also at the end of the day, I mean, you probably know your products the best yourself. So from that, make your own strategy and then execute it.
Thank you so much for joining today, Alex. We learned so much from you, and we wish you the best peak season yet.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure to be here.
And Alex, where can folks find you if they want to check out your store?
You can find me on LinkedIn. My name is Alexander Godsk, or you can just go to Nbourhood's website and write an email to Nbourhood, and I'll get back to you.
Thank you so much, Alex. For all of you tuning in, we have a promotion to help make this year your most successful peak season yet. Sell 2 or more products in one order and we'll cover half or all of your shipping costs. Go to gelato.com to read more and take advantage of this offer until December 5th. And check out our blog on gelato.com for more tips and guides to e-commerce marketing and product trends you can leverage during this year's peak. Thank you for tuning in, and we wish you all a successful peak season.